What if I told you that right now I'm flipping you off in Brazil? Would you believe me? Or would you just think I'm flashing around the OK sign? Well, in all honesty, body language is one of the most important factors that you can learn to communicate in another language, and in this case, Portuguese. And truthfully, if you flash an OK symbol around in Brazil, you are flipping people off. That just goes to show how important it is to learn body language and get it down. And why? Researchers say that about 90% of communication between two parties is done through how our body functions. Our tone of voice, our body movements, our eye contact, our mouth expressions, and so on and so forth. So it's very important, it's to your vital success in being fluent in Portuguese that you learn these types of body language, get them down, and use them. And today I'm going to share 6 types of body language with you that you will need to get and implement into your Portuguese speaking adventure per se. And they're the most common used ones that you'll see and ones that are vital to your success. And at the end, I'll come with a little bonus one that's a little bit funny. So the first one is called the attention getter. What is the attention getter? Well, it has to do with the Brazilian society being a society of warm collective being. That basically means that there's not a lot of organization per se, and it's organized chaos. How do you navigate through organized chaos? You do what you can to bring attention to yourself so that people focus on you. At home, we're used to taking turns in conversations and going back and forth. Well, in Brazil, it's important that you speak louder and so on and so forth so that people listen to you. And it basically would look something like this. Deixa eu falar uma coisa pra você. Ei, vem cá. Moça. Ei, aí, preciso de uma coisa. You know, a lot of flaring, a lot of hand movements, and hey, look at me. Even when you're talking in a conversation, there's a lot of this going on, and body movement, and, you know, stuff like that. So the second piece of body language you need to learn is called the includer. What is the includer? It has to do with the Brazilian society being an inclusion society. It's warm. People really like to reach out to each other, make sure that people are accepted. It's a lot of hospitality-based way of being and a service-based way of being as well. It generally functions in a way, especially in the north of Brazil, where you can put your hand on their shoulder, and as you're talking to them, you're in their face, and you're going like this. You may be touching your chest, or you're touching their chest as you're talking to them. I've experienced where people will go and maybe just touch my hands as they talk to me. You know, they keep touching my hands to make sure that I'm included and that we're a part of this together. So what's the next one? It's called the agreeer. The agreeer basically has to do with the Brazilian society being a comfortable society. In the Portuguese language, a comfortable one as well. So whenever you're speaking, there's no real harsh no's unless you're really angry. There's a lot of yeses, and no's are said through yeses as well. Therefore, when you speak, there's a lot of smiles and a lot of nodding, and it generally be something like this. Verdade, né? Pois é, cara. A gente vai conversar melhor sobre esse assunto, né? And it's a lot of like this, a lot of dancing and yes. And even if you disagree, you know, political parties, 2 parties against each other, you're for the one, the other is for the other party, and you disagree on it, you'd probably just say, pois é, mas eu acho que o PT é o melhor pra isso. É só isso, cara. You know, I think that PT is better than this, and that's how it is. You know, a lot of agreement. Tone of voice-wise too, you could hear. The next 4th and a very important part of the Brazilian body language is what I call the general. What is the general? That's basically the authoritarian side of Portuguese speaking. Brazil is a very authoritarian society due to the organized chaos, quote unquote, and you have a lot of subordination from top to bottom. It's not so flat in their leadership. It's very top pyramid, bottom, high, low level. So the general is people who are in the military, the police, any type of managers, security guards, and anybody who's in a position to be authoritative over anyone else. And it generally functions in the way that, for example, in a store, if you go into an appliance store and you look around, like Casas Bahias, for example, you'll always be able to point out the manager right away. The manager is standing right there, looking around at everybody, usually with walkie-talkie, pointing around like this with the antenna, telling people what to do and saying, você pode levar isso para aí. Oh, moço, vem cá, ajuda esse cliente. Oh, faz assim, assim. That's the authoritarian side, the general, as I call it. Police officers do the same, and so on and so forth. And you even notice that if an accident happens in front of a store on a street, a lot of times the manager of the store will go out to start controlling the scene, to send people to do what, and this and the other thing, and so on and so forth. The fifth piece of important body language you need to learn is what I call the ooh la la. What is the ooh la la? Ooh la la is the Brazilian sensual side of things, and it's generally women who speak and act in a sensual way to get the attention of the men and quote-unquote control of the conversation, which is really effective in Brazil. So how does it function? Well, you get the woman, this may look a little bit silly, but the woman, she'll kind of sway her body, and she knows that she has beauty and you know, communicates that beauty, may flare her hair, and talk like this and smile, a verdade, né? A gente vai fazer assim. Oh, vem cá, moça, eu vou. Yeah, it's very like captivating and swaying, almost dancing in the rhythmic in their body language. The sixth piece of body language, important body language you need to learn, is called the irate Brazilian. And these are Brazilians that lose control. You generally see this in accident, like I said earlier. Somebody rear-ends somebody else. The guy that gets rear-end gets out of the car and he starts flaring. Que isso, uma merda. Você bateu em mim. Eu vou falar pra você que você... You know, and they get like right into their faces. And they're going like this and they're flaring their arms a lot. And it's just a lot of commotion, a lot of high, intense speaking. And it's a lot of the attention getter mixed with the general, mixed with anger, basically. The seventh piece of body language, and the bonus one, is what I call the drunk Brazilian. The drunk Brazilian is generally the person who's had a bit too much to drink at some type of party, get together, Christmas party, carnival, whatever it may be, and they get really like closed eyes and very smiley. Brazilians are interesting because some get irate when they drink, obviously, like in anywhere, but a lot of them, they get like extra warm and extra happy. They'll just be like, pois é, cara, né? Pra mim, tanto faz. Você quer uma cerveja? Vamos comer churrasquinho. And very comfortable. It's very interesting. But so those are the general overview. That's the general overview of body language. Get it down, learn it. And if you want to learn more, check out my PAB 8 free crash course. This crash course will basically bring you through the steps to get you up and speaking from day one in Portuguese with a huge vocabulary. Check it out, and we'll catch you on the other side. Ciao.